Alright, hello, welcome back to Daily Update on 1000 Days Challenge. This is day 566, so let's get things started. Alright, so first and foremost, even though the balance look the same, but actually I make quite a big loss itself. I actually make a very bad move earlier today. So the market itself overall still looks to be choppy, but I was rather distracted. I enter actually excessive experimental trades, so I take quite a significant loss in there, I think close to 80, which is way more than my usual set of around 4 trades maximum for the experimental trade. So that's definitely a main issue of mine, and almost double of that, I think 7 trades. So definitely not a good setup, but definitely there's something, a lesson to learn and lesson to point out that, that if you are a little bit distracted in your day-to-day stuff or your work, please do bear in mind that trading wise, especially for experimental trade setup, you must be very careful and you must stick to your rules that you've set up for itself. All right, otherwise, if you look in terms of the overall market itself, the US market still tend to lean towards neutral to slightly bearish momentum itself. So we are consolidating right now. I wouldn't say we're exactly bearish because as long as price does not fall any below in terms of the recent low itself, and yes, we still definitely do have potential to continue towards the upside itself. On the other hand, for China market itself, it still looks rather a little bit bearish or neutral to bearish similar as well. But we do see some sign of life, especially for ASHR, which is heavily retesting the 20 exponential moving average on the daily chart. So if we actually can close above that, the ASHR will definitely be a good swing in terms of momentum towards the upside of things. We can also say that this is starting to curve towards the flat lining, which is a good sign, but that's provided we don't face any strong rejection in that sense. And for KWEB, the first sign of life is actually closing above it. So we did actually have a nice close right above it. So it's really up to today to see whether we can have a strong break, even though it is quite unlikely that we can have a strong break, but bear in mind we still have 5 hours plus to go and anything can happen. So if we do have a very strong break, then tentatively it's there. But bear in mind that KWEB generally itself is harder to trade in the sense that the underlying stock itself still predominantly affected by the Chinese market. And so generally the volatility does happen on the Chinese market first, which is being reflected on KWEB rather than the other way around, which is also similarly why you see tendency for gap ups and down in that sense. So that's something to bear in mind as well. So generally, which is why I wouldn't suggest even swing trading kind of KWEB simply because of the gaps that it can have from here to here in that sense. All right, and then finally for Bitcoin itself, we do see some sort of bearish momentum over here, and we definitely could trend to a much lower low to retest the 30K region itself. I'm not surprised based on that. Potential double top formation is over here, and we potentially triggering towards the downside on the MACD crossover as well. So on the forward chart, I actually close this trade in terms of trailing stop loss. So nothing to be too much of a concern about. So this trade is actually closed. So upon taking profit over here, which is a swing trade setup, you can have a decent one is to at most 1 is to 1.2, but then potentially it's just around 1 is to 1.2 and that's it. So yeah, so I took profit I think somewhere along here. So here, and then I closed the remainder 50% of the trade somewhere along here. Yeah, somewhere right below here, because I did not want it to swing below this huge bullish candlestick itself. So definitely I took my remainder profit, which is not a lot, but other than that, that's about it. So I'm just waiting for a clearer setup itself. So this could be definitely be an ABC kind of corrective wave. But bear in mind that this is a very straight up down, which is not exactly what you want to see for a C wave itself, especially for the end of the C wave and a continuation towards the upside. But of course, we are yet to see whether would there be strong support coming in here. It should be very critical, especially in the 38K to 40K region itself. That is where I want strong support to come in. Otherwise, that's more or less about it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop by your comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.